Now, ladies and gentlemen, over the last few weeks, Counter-Strike has seen similar waves of hype that have not been around since CS2's release back in October of last year. After weeks of rumors and leaks through data mines, it was thought that Valve would finally pull the trigger, giving Counter-Strike players their first look at the next generation of operations. I mean, we had the leaks, the most new maps ever added and it not be called an operation, the 25th anniversary to top it all off, as well as the fact that it's been 1,000 days since Counter-Strike's last major content update, that being Operation Riptide. And well, what did Valve release? We got a nice tweet for Counter-Strike's birthday on the 25th anniversary, and then a few days following, we get the 5GB MVP update, which is essentially an operation, at least in Valve's eyes, that's half put together minusing the skins, missions, and a battle pass. Now, since this recent MVP update has debuted, CS2's player count has started to drop, and it's been happening very quickly. That all on top of the fact that Counter-Strike has started to see its first major dip in case unboxings within the last few years, that being just last month. With it now being almost a year since CS2's initial release, not even the old modes, maps, and features, let alone new content, such as an operation, has yet to be added to CS2. Are players within the CS community fed up? Will those players who have recently left ever come back, or are they just going to touch grass? Today's video, I want to break down and discuss Counter-Strike 2's most recent dip in player count, why that happened, and how quickly it could be turned around. Now, today's video sponsor is Skins Monkey. Skins Monkey is a buying, but most notably trading marketplace, that being for your CS2 items. You can trade off your old skins for something new. All you do is log in with Steam, you start a trade, and any cash remaining goes to your available balance on the site. When it comes to trading an item you don't have enough balance for on the site, Skins Monkey has a large variety of deposit options. By using my code MANDO, you can get up to a free $5, and by depositing alongside using my code, you get an additional 35% of a deposit bonus. With Skins Monkey's large variety of skins, they also offer daily, weekly, and monthly giveaways. If interested, the link will be in the top of the description down below. Now, firstly, for today's video is a quick breakdown of Counter-Strike 2's recent player count, that being the decline, but also a comparison to years prior. Let's rewind all the way back to March and April of 2020. This is where Counter-Strike as a franchise, CSGO at the time, was yes, a pretty popular and well-known title, but really started to have Counter-Strike shine in the limelight. Not that it wasn't big for esports or Twitch streams, but people from all walks of different communities were trying out Counter-Strike, if they liked the competitive space, the skins, or maybe even at the time an operation. When everyone was locked inside their house in 2020, Counter-Strike's player count went from around 500,000 to almost 1 million, around 857,000. And as you can see in the summer months of every single year, especially 2020, there was a pretty significant decline. Now, at this point, the obvious is, well, everyone was starting to go back to normal and starting to go outside more, but that specifically, going outside more, we'll touch on that later. And then if you fast forward to 2022, the summer months once again started to see declines. But in between these years up until now, player numbers would still spike, but that's also because we had a lot of content, such as an operation. There was one essentially guaranteed every 6 to 12 months, whereas of nowadays, there's absolutely nothing. And then of course, if you fast forward to the present day, those circumstances are different. There's quite a few of the same reasons for players leaving, which is exactly what we're discussing in today's video. And then you fast forward to 2023, where in March of last year, CS2 was first revealed and debuted with 3 different trailers. The limited test started popping off, and by the time that summer rolled around, most players were fed up with not being able to even play the limited test. And then here we are in the summer of 2024. Really, like we mentioned, from 2022 until June of 2023, Counter-Strike was on a straight line to the moon, with new players arriving and old players returning to hop on the Source 2 hype train. And then of course we got CS2's announcement and release after years of waiting and months and leaks and rumors. Though the only problem was, like we just mentioned, it was found that only 0.5% of CSGO players would actually have access to CS2, which explains the large departure in the hundreds of thousands of last summer. CS2 then later released in October of 2023 with no new features. It also had a lack of content and major bugs. Players saw the graphics in shock and awe, and then realized it looked fancy but also played horribly, meanwhile also missing half the features from CSGO. Now in between all that until the present day, players seemingly returned for Valve's monthly updates, which it seems like Valve at the beginning of this year has begun a new update cycle, that being for CS2 but also Dota. Though a majority of the time these do pack a punch, there is a concern from players, and that's the fact that yes, these monthly updates do pack loads of new improvements, quality of life updates, but it's just simply not enough to hold over the majority of the player base in between. Now here we are almost a year later in a very similar boat, where players are beginning to be drip-fed content, yet until these most recent weeks in the beginning of July of 2024, we're still coming back. And this most recent player count last month in June of 2024, we've seen a total loss of 22,000 players, most likely due to the game feeling stale, and for the most part, the hype disappearing from this most recent MVP update, which was assumed to be an operation. Now yes, that's most likely and can't be the sole reason, but I believe there's more. Now the first one is pretty agreed upon within the community, and that's the fact that CS2 just doesn't feel as good as CSGO. Now the hard truth of this is that we're most likely going to have another year until CS2 feels very similar to CSGO, that being with hitboxes, connection issues, let alone new content that's all a lot better than what CSGO had. Now another reason I believe players are leaving is because of the market, which this will be a video on its own most likely later this week. But after doing a little bit of digging, you can see the total amount of cases unboxed have went from an average of 30 million a month to just 15 within this last month in June. Now you might not think anything of this or if it's that big of a deal. These are the lowest numbers we've seen in years, even pre-Source 2 hype, which leads to me having some questions. Is this the game? Are players just not enjoying Counter-Strike 2? Is it this most recent ban of buff 163, but also for them selling cases? Or is it a mix of all that plus a bunch more? Now, as much as I agree that CS2 just doesn't feel as good as CS CSGO, while also taking a look at the numbers that cases are down 15 million, pretty much 50% within the last month, which is the lowest we've seen in years. I also believe the reason we've continued to see a downwards trend with CS2 is just the fact that it's just simply summer. Right now we have the summer sale on for Steam, and with CS2 not being the best game out there at the moment, players also have more incentive to play other games than any other time before. But players also want to go touch grass and go outside. Now the fact of the matter is, I wouldn't panic or let anyone tell you otherwise. Counter-Strike 2 isn't going anywhere nor dying. At the moment it's just a mix and match of everything going on, but this is also just once again a normal trend every year. It's just this time around, like we discussed in today's video, there's multiple other factors. Now let me know what you guys think down below. Have you guys been playing Counter-Strike 2 as of recently? I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay positive, sexy. I'm out, guys. Peace.